Hey, welcome to Prep to Thrive. This is my little brother Ben. I'm Molly, and today Ben is going to show us how not to ruin meat.
We're doing pulled pork today, but this whole process started at least 3 hours ago at 6 a.m. This is what that looked like.
It's early.
It is.
Thanks for the coffee.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll try to stay out of your way.
Good morning, very early in the morning, and welcome to Prep to Thrive. We'll try not to be too loud because I don't want to wake up my kids. But I guess when talking about the things that we're going to need for this, going to need first off a plan, which I've got my cook times, temperatures, and everything all written down. Y'all are getting those today. Going to need our seasoning. Obviously, we're going to need 2 pork butts, and we're going to need some mustard. I'm not even a big fan of mustard, but after a smoke for roughly 12 hours, you're not going to taste it. It's just basically the glue that we're going to have on there so that everything sticks to the pork. You can use something like hot sauce as well. But a lot of people with this, we're going to keep it simple. We're not going to put any kind of sugars in this. The day I found out that this was Whole30, it made my entire thing a whole lot easier. So we're going to start off, we're going to open up some pork butts. Alright. Next thing I usually do is I flip them over and I look for the fat cap. There's a reason why I think I got each one of these for about like 10 or 15 bucks. They usually come with a thick fat cap on the back, and then I'll usually take my knife and just, like start shaving. I shave it down to about 1/4 of an inch of fat. You kind of get under the waxy fat and you really get to the pillowy stuff. This looks like whatever butcher trimmed this up already kind of scarred off all the fat cap on the bottom, which means that the meat on the bottom of this, because mine's a vertical smoker, is going to be kind of getting cooked. But I mean, it's all going to render over the course of 12 hours. So there's really no work that I really need to be doing to the bottom of these. Is what it is.
So you didn't pay for fat that you were going to have to cut off anyway?
Yeah, well, the fat winds up, it's extra moisture, exactly. And at the end of this, we're going to be wrapping this up in aluminum foil, and it will wind up like emulsifying a whole lot more fat inside of the aluminum foil. My goodness, I cannot talk. So at the end of this cook, we're going to wrap this up. And during that last bit, once we bring it out to rest, then it's going to reabsorb a lot of that fat. So having that fat cap there is nice. So I'm not going to touch what fat it does have.
Okay.
While we're getting the rest of the pork ready, we're going to go ahead and kickstart the smoker. The way that they recommend it for the Pit Boss smoker is we're going to go ahead and put it on its lowest setting. That's just smoke. And I usually do this with the door open because I actually had the whole thing fill up with smoke one time, like a dirty smoke, and then it all ignited all at once and it shattered the front glass. So we don't want that again. I make my own shakers. This is something that I picked up from watching different YouTube videos online. A big one is Aaron Franklin, if you want to check out his channel. He's got a lot of good tips and tricks. One of the things that he suggested, and it makes sense when you really think about it, is as the smoke's coming over this, inside of the smoker, you want it catching as much smoke as possible. So you really don't want to be using like a fine grain seasoning. So what I use, and I'm just going to be adding to this, is I use kosher salt, and then I use a pepper It's 16 mesh black pepper. You can find it on Amazon. You might be able to find it in like a thrifty store. But the reason why is the salt flakes are, the salt kernels are roughly the same size as the crushed up pepper. And so it mixes really, really well. And so I just do like a half and half mix. And so I'm going to show you right here. So I'm just adding to what's already here. And then I would just want to add about that much pepper to it. And granted, like I said, I already had some here. I'm just adding more. It looks relatively even. Then you're pretty good. Now you would also add paprika just for color, because getting out like a really bright chunk of pork out of your smoker is really weird. So you want to darken that up a little bit and kind of spin this in circular motions as you shake it up, and voila, we got more seasoning. Alright, let's talk about slather. Again, you can use hot sauce. The standard is mustard. And again, I don't like mustard very much. I don't like the smell of it, but mustard is Whole 30. Plain's hot, not fancy mustard, not Dijon mustard, just plain Heinz yellow mustard. And we're just going to go ahead and slap it on there. I like to do the fat cap up first. It doesn't really matter, but I like to go ahead and do that. And then when I flip it over and do the other side, the presentation side is up on the top. It's all pretty. So just get it on there and get going. Yeah, no, thank you.
Let me give you a hand.
Thank you, Molly.
Let me give you a hand. So why do you have a rack over, like, your pan?
This is the rack. It goes in my smoker.
Okay, so you don't have to transfer it if you do it on the rack.
Right. This is just something, I didn't see this anywhere online, so yeah, I guess. Trend setting.
It's a bin invention.
Yeah. Alright.
Ooh, smells like mustard.
Right. Strong.
Wow.
Alright, so there, and also as you've mentioned before, mustard is an emulsifier, and so it actually starts the process of breaking down the fat.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to hold my hand here.
And this is just salt and pepper.
Salt, pepper, paprika.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and you can't really over season this, because when it gets broken up into pulled pork, only the stuff around the outside is actually and again, I just try to keep it shook up. This is going to turn into that bark that everybody loves. Alright, and both of these have a bone in this cut.
Okay.
Sometimes you can get them where the butcher's gone in and cut the bone out. Sorry, it's a lot of pepper. I don't tend to get those. I mean, there's not a lot of reason for me. And plus, it also kind of gives you this mark when you're done. I mean, obviously, you want to check it with a temperature probe to make sure it's up to temperature at the end. You're going to want it to be at least 200 degrees on the inside of it. But that bone in the side will give you a general indication that you've cooked it right. Because at the end, you should just be able to reach in, grab that bone, and with just a slight tug, it should just come out nice and clean, just pearly white.
Huh.
If you've ruined it, which I mean, you don't make good barbecue until you've made bad barbecue. It's just, you tug and nothing comes out.
And that means it's dried up and...
Yeah, or overcooked. It's really hard to do that with a pellet smoker, so I do recommend that is easy mode. I've tried to do it with wood, I've tried to do it with charcoal, tried smoking, and I'm not that guy. And so I've realized I'm not that guy. This is the best way that I get to make barbecue at home. Again, you can't really over season it, and because this cut has so much internal fat, it's also, like I said, even though I managed to pull it off, it's a really hard cut. Yeah, I'm a mess. It's a really hard cut to overcook. Alright, so now that this is going, we're going to go check on our smoker again, which has been set to the smoke setting. It's got to at least run that for about 10 minutes. At this point, your smoke should be running nice and clean, and then we're going to go ahead and bump it up to 275. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to bump this up to 275. We're also going to go ahead and put some water in here because we want like a really warm, moist environment that's what causes that bark to develop. It also keeps our food from drying out. But one of the things I was going to mention is you let it go through this like preheating process because it actually gets rid of some of the moisture, some of the pellets that might be sitting inside of the chamber that moisture may have gotten to. Usually it's like this dirty smoke that starts off really, really thick, and you don't want your food getting into that. You want to wait till it's pretty much just like, it looks like vapor almost coming out. My smoker does this thing to where whenever I turn it up, it goes into error. The first time, we're going to see if it's going to be nice to me. It looks like it is. Weird. Very nice. Now we've got the door closed. We've got it set to 275. So now that fan will kick on. It'll start really dumping some pellets in the bottom. We're getting some vapor coming out of the top. You can't really probably see that because it's still like just after 6 a.m. here in Virginia. So this is going to be some good fall eating. Oh, also, use hot water throughout this entire cook. You don't want to, when the whole point is to create like steam and vapor, you don't want to, come out for another round of putting water in, which you've got to do throughout the cook, and you don't want to put in cold water into a hot smoker. You want to keep that thing rolling. So hot tap water, as hot as your tap will go, throughout the cook. The smoker is now up to 275, and the smoker is not the only thing that's up, as you can see. It is now 7 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and put these in. Everything's really on time. So, Riley, if you would, this is my son Riley. Let's try not to do that. All right. And where this is like an 11-hour process, this should be done at 6 p.m. So you can kind of use that to gauge, how you want to have this done. If you want to have dinner at 5, this needs to be in at 6 a.m. So this process is about waking up early and making the food. Throughout the cook, we're going to be spritzing it. I'm going to go over that and what that looks like. So yeah, we'll see you in 3 hours. Dinner's in the oven. I guess it's time to make breakfast. So it's been 3 hours. It's time to do our first check. So let's go ahead and pop it open. First thing we want to go ahead and do is replenish the water. Again, we're going to use warm water. Why would you ever add cold to a smoker? You want to keep the steam going. we're gonna go ahead and spritz it with apple cider vinegar. Some people do use apple juice. Again, we're gonna go for no sugar. We're not really adding sugar. Even if you want to use like natural apple juice, that's fine, but it does have sugar in it. And the only problem is if you're cooking long term, sugar burns. So yeah, I prefer the taste of this, and it gives it that barbecuey kind of like tang. Correct. That's kind of what I was looking for. So what I do is I typically pull it forward a little bit. I've got myself some firefighter gloves that are heat resistant, and I go ahead and I start spritzing anywhere that looks dried out, which after 3 hours is most of this thing.
Woo! Smell the vinegar.
Right. Kind of takes your breath away if you're too close. Alright. So, you might be wondering what you would do if you didn't have a smoker. And I found myself in that position when the fan on this thing broke, and I had already pulled out the pork, I've already seasoned it, and then it just died on me. So I pulled out the racks, and I kind of did this. I improvised last minute. I pulled out the pork on the racks, and I kind of precariously laid it on top of this cooking pan, and I just put it in the oven, and I just used already the temperatures and times that you're going to be getting here. And it still turned out really good. It just didn't have any of that smoky flavor, but it had the right texture, and it definitely would be my recommendation if things go horribly wrong, or you know, like I said, if you don't have a smoker to begin with, you might be able to put some. I did put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan. You could put some liquid smoke inside with that, and that might actually turn out pretty good. I haven't tried those. Again, I just pulled it out in a panic and put it in my oven near the center of the oven. Yeah, from here on out, we're going to be checking it on 1 hour intervals. So next one's going to be at 11 o'clock. All right, it's been 1 more hour through the magic of editing. Let's open it up. Again, now we've got some wet spots through there as fat is starting to render. We just kind of want to hit the areas that look dry. And the water level's looking good, so yeah, we don't need to worry much more about this. We'll be back in another hour. All right, another hour has passed. We're opening it up. It looks amazing, but our water level's starting to get just a hair low. So we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit more warm water to it, and once again, we're gonna hit all the areas that look like they're getting a little dry. I like to keep the nozzle sprayer pretty specific so I can kind of get that apple cider vinegar exactly where I want it. Alright. I'll go get some more water, and another hour passed by. Alright, here we are. 1 more hour has passed. It's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Bright, sunny, gorgeous afternoon. Molly's gonna go ahead and check on it and see how things are going. Water level still looks good. We do still have some dry spots through here.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and just, yeah, we're gonna spray. If it looks particularly wet, just try to avoid that area.
Oh yeah? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know that vinegar, right? As soon as it hits something hot, it's like right in your face.
Woo!
A little bit more on the tip there. This is why it's good to actually have like the fat cap on the bottom, because it kind of protects it from the underside. it just is what it is. So that's gonna get a little crispy, I would imagine. We're done.
We're good with that? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay.
All right, closing it up.
Man.
One more hour.
Woo!
2 o'clock. Time for more pellets and to go ahead and make our next check. Oh, that's looking pretty. See the bones starting to poke out right here. And again, if it's done correctly, at the end I should just be able to grab that bone and pull it right out. All right, one more hour and we should be ready for the wrapping portion where we're gonna wrap it in aluminum foil. Before you know it, it'll be here just like this. All right, so here we are. We're ready to go ahead and do the wrapping process. It's 3 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and get them out. Molly, would you mind popping the lock for me?
Sure.
This is another reason to go ahead and have the firefighter's gloves.
Okay.
Just grab one of these. Oh, they look phenomenal. That looks great. And again, you can see the bone starting to pull back and protrude. All right.
You're gonna close it, or you get?
Yeah, go ahead and close it. All right, this is the last that we're gonna see of this, so we're gonna go ahead and hit any of the dry spots. And again, going to hold the way that I saw in an Aaron Franklin video. It kind of does a really good job of protecting what's going on inside, and it keeps the bones from protruding through. So now we've got a couple layers on the ends in case the bones were to scratch through one layer of the aluminum foil. And now it ain't gonna come through the bottom either. Good and tight. This one's ready to go back in. Feel. Put your hand on the bottom.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's not bad at all?
Okay.
Alright. Alright, but you might be saying, what if you don't have firefighter gloves? Here's the next best thing. Again, these cook at 200, we've got it at 275. They're still, I mean, they're cooking, but it's not like 400 degrees. So one of the things you can do is you can build up a wet layer.
No. No.
With your vinegar that you got nearby. And you can move it.
Okay.
Right to about there.
I mean, does it matter how tight it is?
Go ahead, yeah,
And
try
then
to keep
flip
it tight. Flip it once.
It's hot now.
Alright. Hold it over the corner. Make a straight line all the way down.
Okay. Okay.
Same on the other side. Kind of like trying to keep as many V's as possible. Alright, now bring it in straight on both sides. Pull that back one time. This way, if there is any leaks, none of the juices get out because there's so many layers.
Okay, and we're just...
Roll it over on that, and we're gonna let it cook on top of that one.
Okay.
Hey, the good news is my hands probably don't smell like mustard anymore.
Does it smell like vinegar now?
They smell like apple cider vinegar now.
Okay.
All right, make sure it's laying down on the one with the most layers.
Okay.
Alrighty. And that is the last we're going to be seeing of those until it comes out in 2 hours. So we'll bump it up to 300 here in about 1 hour, and then after that we'll go ahead and pull it out.
Do you know why you're going up to 300 at the end?
We really want to ramp up the temperature while it's still inside all the aluminum foil. We're cooking the middle now. We've kind of got the bark on the outside. Now we're really going to try to just get the internals up to temperature.
Okay.
We need it to go ahead and hit 200 internal temperature.
Middle. Okay.
All right. See you in an hour. It's the final one before we pull it out. It's been another hour. We're gonna go ahead and fill up the water reservoir just a little bit more because you see we got a bunch of caught bits of fat and stuff like that in there. It's not important to really keep the environment moist. In fact, you could have finished this out in your oven once you got to the wrapping phase. But if the water pan gets completely empty, then all that fat stuff is going to burn, and then it's going to smoke up like a lot of dirty smoke up through there, and you're going to wind up with a bunch of soot, and you don't want to trip right at the finish line. So let's go ahead and get that closed up. And again, this is the time where we're going to bump it from 275 up to 300. We're done. 1 more hour, then we'll pull it out to rest. All right, the time is upon us. Everything's done cooking, but this is still a very, very important part of the process. Let's go ahead and get these guys out. They've been cooking for another hour at 300. I'm glad I added some water because a lot more water cooks off in that last hour. Let's go ahead and get our forks out. And we're gonna go ahead and temp it. Shooting for 200. That one's good. We're good on that one too. All right, so now is the time where we don't really want to do anything else. Those are the only little poke holes we want to make. Over the course of the next 45 minutes to an hour, I would give it the full hour. It's going to take any of the juices that are still in the bottom of that, and it's going to reabsorb that and just pull it back up into the pork. So it's very, very important. I know it probably smells great, it looks great, and it feels squishy like a loaf of bread, like a loaf of heavy bread. But you do not want to go ahead and open this. Just let it sit, let it rest. 1 hour later, when you open it up, all that moisture will have been pulled back into the pork, and you'll have something truly juicy, truly amazing. And if it's done right, we should be able to shred it with just our fingers in these. So 1 more hour and it's game time. Moment of truth. We're ready to go ahead and open this up. I like to use these pans. Big thing is when you're opening it up, open it over one of these pans and then let all the juice drip right back down on top. Because again, even though it's going right into the pan, we want some more reabsorption of all that juice and flavor so it doesn't actually like dry out.
You just like to use this metal pan for easy cleanup?
Absolutely. Throw it away when it's done.
Recycle aluminum.
Yeah, that's true. All right. And like I said, if it's done correctly, let's find that bone. This bone, with just the slightest tug, should come out all nice, pretty, and clean. Isn't that beautiful? So we'll go ahead and open up the other one too.
I think yours was wrapped better. The juice did not get as far out.
How do you know this one was mine?
Tighter.
Maybe so.
I think it's going to Oh, beautiful,
All right.
Ben.
Yeah, the bark looks good. Looking for.
It fell out.
Oh wow! It just fell out.
So
That's pork. No, that's pork.
that's pork.
Where's the bone?
It was boneless this whole time. Is that it?
Oh yeah, this is it.
Okay.
It did just fall out. Well, that might have been a little overdone.
Okay.
Anyway.
It was a little bit smaller than the other one.
Yeah. All right, and if it's done this well, you should just be able to just get in there and shred it with your fingers. Again, I wouldn't do that without heat-resistant gloves, but just get in there and start smushing. Now, what I was telling Molly is the beauty of this, where the seasonings of it are just salt, paprika, or salt, pepper, and paprika for color, is the fact that you can use this for literally anything. I mean, it's pulled pork today. It's pork nachos tomorrow. You can season it up. When you reheat it, you can season it up and use it as carnitas. I will be talking about how, you can use this to make a really quick, really fast Whole30 meal. That'll probably be our next video, and I'll use some of this pork to do that.
Cool.
But other than that, look at that. Just minimal effort. This all shredded up really nice and pretty.
Minimal effort.
Like as far as
12 hours.
like, I didn't have to get in there and like shred hard or go get like the claws.
Yeah.
It just
Minimal effort for those last 30 seconds.
Yeah. And we got 2 dog bones. That'll do it for today. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care.
I mean,